Good morning, everybody. Tuesday morning. Good to see you. Welcome. See, Kelsey's still going strong over there, and welcome to Morning Coffee with Mitch. And I think they're about wrapping it up over there, so we'll come over here and get to the important stuff. The stuff I've been waiting for this morning. You guessed it. Drink it. Drink it if you got it. Oh. Please go to OldGuyCarnivore Channel at 7 a.m. and watch Professor Mitch show. Okay, I'm headed there now. Says Peter. Oh man, Peter's been working for me this morning over there. Thank you, Peter. Thank you. About that. Wow. Yeah. Look at this. See there? See that? Oh, you did away with it. It was there. A message from Peter, and now it's gone. Okay, they're waving. I think they're finishing up. We drank it because we do got it. Got through that. I'm so confused. I'm confused. So what's new? I am so confused. I just sat and watched Kiltz's entire live stream, okay? Have any of you ever heard the acronym TMI? TMI. Too much information. Holy cow. Not that it's bad, but a machine gun came to mind. I never saw anything like it certainly on my live stream or his live stream. One question, just Q. There must have been 1,000 capital Qs in the chat this morning. Questions. Holy cow. Topics from this topic to that topic to Lisa Wiedemann and her video that just stirred a hornet's nest and prompted my little comments on the should I add carbs thing to every kind of fermented substance known to man, and do I need it? And Kiltz is in the movie business now. But I mean, it's one thing after another. Maybe I'm just getting too old or slowing down too much to have to want to keep track of all of that information, because through the whole thing, I kept looking for something actionable, something that I could act on, something that I needed to do, something that I needed to maybe further investigate for myself. And I can usually keep up with a lot of stuff, but I was just flooded. And I came away after it was all over, out of breath almost. Was I the only one? Was I the only one? Rick says if Kiltz makes a movie, Mitch will be in it. He'll probably want me to be the cameraman. Are you kidding? Come on. Come on. Yeah, we'll all be in it. We'll all be in it. Lewis said, oh, thank you. It's not just you, Mitch. My head is spinning. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Lewis. And then Peter chimed in on that theme, says, what are your thoughts on Kiltsy adding so many different new things, foods, supplements, etc. into his diet? What is he trying to achieve? How will he measure any benefits? Peter, I don't know the answer to that. I know one thing for sure. I don't want to do that, but I love Kiltsy, and he is so intelligent. People don't realize just how much he knows. Did you hear today? And I doubt it. I think it went right over people's heads. When he was talking about people complicating this thing, his knowledge of cellular biology just came to the forefront. He rattled off all the components of a living cell. Boom, 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 boom. You know, Golgi complex. How many people know what a Golgi complex is? I know. But he rattled them off one after another, and I'm sure it went over everybody's head. But the guy is a wealth of facts and knowledge. And who knows, Peter, who knows what's going on when he comes up with his own whys. I know one thing. There's very few of us, and even me, have trouble following his train of thought sometimes. But I think that, and it's nothing against Kiltsy or anything else. I have more fun. I have more fun. Listen, if you never thought about this, try it. Now, he's going to be gone for quite a while. He's off on a, he dropped all these bombs on us today. And off to Portugal. Hey, see you in a while. Okay. And I'm going to be here and there, and God, nobody will be able to catch him. If you want to get a real read on what's going on. When Kiltz is talking, don't watch Kiltz. Don't look at him. Watch Nelson's face. I'm serious. Watch Nelson's face. Poor Nelson and Alia. They're trying to keep up with him. And then he's going to take off and leave both of them there hanging, holding the ball, saying, what the F do we do first? And I love it. I love all of them. They're such great people. But I think if I could give anybody any advice, just a second. Wild hair in my nose. It's just itching like crazy. My mustache decides to go north sometimes. If I could give any of them any advice, I would say slow down. Try not to consider everything at once. That's why we have something called time. Time. Time was invented so that everything didn't happen all at once. Seriously. Slow down. The problem, and I've talked about this many times as I see it, and again, these are just my opinions, whether they're your opinions, right, wrong, or otherwise. Gail Marshall said it right there in the chat. I will stick to eggs and my supplements. I like to keep it simple and natural. Thank you. Thank you, Gail. Polly's podcast. Simple is best for me, too. Good morning, Polly. Peter, Dr. Nelson's facial expressions while Kiltz talks is priceless. It's amazing. Kiltz, and I love him. Oh, my God, I love that guy. Is like a 3-year-old at Disneyland for the first time. Oh, Mommy, look at that. Oh, look over there. Look, I mean, you talk about multitasking. He can do it. Most people can't. Most people can't. And this morning was just overwhelming. And I know most of you were there. I was there. And if somebody were to ask me the question, Mitch, I don't know, I'm talking about Kiltz. Is he here? He lurks. He likes to. Kelsey, it was brilliant, but I have a funny feeling you left most people like deer in the headlights, because it's just too much, too fast for most people who are still trying to figure out whether I need to add a little fat or take away a little fat. The problem is information for information's sake is not helpful to people that are looking for actions that they need to take. And any actionable information has to be considered and thought about, and especially when it comes to how it applies individually to whoever it is that's considering it. It's very hard to even know if we're being right about that. So a question was asked. I'll give an example this morning. It was a great question. Somebody over in Kills asked, what are the benefits of, what are the benefits of creatine, and how do I know which creatine supplement to buy? Oh, that's a good question. There's a lot of talk about creatine lately. I made videos about it. I'm taking creatine. I have real scientific reasons. I think I'm seeing benefits from it. It's a question that could take 15 to 20 minutes to answer in a meaningful way. And this is, again, where I looked at Dr. Nelson. And Nelson, I could see when Ali posed the question to him, he said, you got to be kidding me. You want me to give a meaningful answer about creatine now? In 3 seconds? Because that's how fast we keep changing subjects? And his answer was, any brand of creatine monohydrate is probably good. And that was it. Well, that didn't answer the question. And the poor lady who asked, should I consider creatine, a subject which should make you want to slow down, stop and think, do a little investigation. So the point I'm trying to make, I guess, is that it's TMI. Not only TMI, too much information, but like a machine gun. Like a machine gun. And you got 150 people in the chat, and everybody's just pulling a trigger, whatever, boom, boom, boom. And then I say, where are all these people, Mitch, in your live stream when you say, put QQQs in the chat if you got a question for me? But I'm not a doctor. But I will tell you this one. I look back at yesterday's live stream and I rewatched some of my answers to some some of the few questions I got, especially the one about microbiome. And I listened to my answer, and I said, and I wasn't in a patting myself on the back mode, but I said, that's the best explanation that I think the average layperson who is not a biochemist can really understand. Nobody heard it. A few hundred people maybe saw the replay. I'm going to make it, I think I should make a, and Peter suggested that I make a standalone video out of it because it's so misunderstood. And in reality, it's such a simple concept. And what do? We turn it into an industry with probiotics and all this stuff. And we bring mental health and psychobiology into it and credit these gut bacteria that are just trying to survive down in our colon with affecting our everything about us and our moods and everything. And it all ties together. But the average person who has an average life, who's just trying to help reverse their diabetes, maybe lose a few pounds, can't wire themselves up to glucose CGMs and get blood tests every 5 minutes and have to micromanage human physiology. It's impossible. It is overwhelming. It is confusing. And in most cases, we end up destroying our physiology. Not a single other living thing on the planet, neither plants nor animals nor fungus, has to be involved in regulating and controlling their physiology and monitoring it second by second. We got to, I think, the best, I'm going to give anybody any advice about what I've learned after all these years on this planet and all the study of this science and that science and every other science. We've got to find ways to keep it as simple as possible. We have to find ways to establish routines that require no monitoring from minute to minute or intervention consciously on our part. A few simple rules, the most important of which is proper nourishment. Eat the proper food. If we're going to be researching or searching or trying to figure out how to make it better, and it just seems like everybody's on some kind of a quest to improve it, you can improve it into oblivion if you're not careful. We've got to, I think, focus more on broad stroke advice than the minutia and the noise that we seem to keep increasing. It's doing more harm than good. It's driving more people away from this. We got to stop listening to the propaganda. We got to stop jumping on every shiny new thing that comes out. And that's where we have a problem. We have too much information coming at us every day, all day. And we're all so mind screwed by the wealth of propaganda out there that we all have our doubts that what we're doing isn't hurting us. We have our doctors, our loved ones, the morning news babes, the whole medical community, the food and drug companies, all out there towing the government line. And this reminds me of something else I want to talk about this morning. And if I don't say hello to too many people this morning, I just have so much to say. And I love you all, and I appreciate you all being here. But I see the problem. I actually, not wanting to sound too arrogant, I actually know the solution, at least in my opinion. And I'll give you that overall disclaimer of mine once again, right after I thank Tristan for buying me a coffee. Tristan, thank you so much. Thank you so much, sweetie. Good morning, Mitch. It was great seeing you use your right hand proficiently in your last video. Here's a coffee. Yes, my right hand is really, I'm starting to be able to type with it. I've been practicing the piano. I mean, it's healing. I'm learning so much by the way I'm healing from this stroke. And I still have such a long way to go, though. But it's been 7+ months. I wonder sometimes if I ever will get back to my pre-stroke abilities. I doubt it. But that might not be because of diet or anything else. It might be because I'm in my 79th year of life. And no matter how much you want to think that we're all supermen, we all age. So where was I? I was talking about, I go off on a rabbit hole. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm going to put my little buy me a coffee, there it is, buy me a coffee thing up there in the corner. And appreciate it if you want to help the old guy out. No pressure. I'm doing fine. I really am. I really am. I just like a little coffee now and then, that's all. Juan Manuel says, good morning. Hi, Juan. CB Carmack is here. How you doing? The whole gang is here. I got to say hi to you guys. Peter says, Jerry wants to know which is worse, seed oils or carbs. All right, I'll start answering questions. But what I was going to talk about, and I want to get back to it. And if I don't get back to it today, I'll get back to it tomorrow. It's not a pressing subject. But Ken Berry released a video yesterday with Nina Teicholz. How many of you I don't push for chat entries, but how many of you watched that video yesterday? I know anytime Ken Berry puts out a big video like that, he gets hundreds of thousands of views eventually. He's a brilliant man. A brilliant man. Says very little in the realm of the subject matter, carnivore, diet, the science. Brilliant. If Ken Berry says it, you can take it to the bank. Yeah, Lewis, I was watching a live stream. Lamb saw it. Hi, Juliet, how you doing? She chimed in, nice to meet you. Everybody's there. Terry Sue watched it. A lot of people saw it. T-Pain Golf didn't watch it. CB Carmack saw it. Okay. Now, quickly, after watching that entire video, your takeaway, are you, and just type yes or no, do you expect the new food guidelines that are coming out to be, I don't want to, earth-shattering, mind-blowing, a sea change, the turning point in making America healthy again, say yes, or don't get your hopes up, say no. CB says, I'm an Eden. Rick says no. Juliet Eden says no with an exclamation mark. Exclamation mark. Not going to happen, says Lambs. No, says Brian. No, says Lewis. They will continue to promote profitable duck food. Rick, brilliant philosopher that you are, is correct. So you have to ask yourself, no, 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 says Jim. I doubt it. So that proves two things to me. It proves that with all my idiosyncrasies, personality flaws, temper tantrums, I somehow seem to draw into my sphere brilliant, intelligent, realistic people who can think and aren't too easily just get caught up in the euphoria of the moment. And for that, I'm very grateful to have an audience. It may not be the biggest audience on YouTube, but I think it's the smartest. Okay. I watched that whole video. My takeaway at the end was Nina spent 1 hour trying to curb Ken Berry's enthusiasm. She was the opposite of enthusiastic. Lewis says, but we got to try. Yes, we have to try. We have to keep trying. We have to keep trying. I come at this from an experience standpoint that most people don't have. I have dealt with many government agencies in my business career, policymakers. When I was in the construction and building business, I dealt with the politicians, the zoning boards. No matter what kind of campaigns we ever waged to change the zoning from what the county commission or whatever the controlling zoning authority was, the one thing I learned for sure is I don't care what you do, how many people write in, how many people you get to parade in front of a microphone in a meeting, giving their own sob stories to the board, telling them that you can't build this here, you can't build that there, this will affect my life, it'll ruin the value of my property, there goes a neighborhood, not in my backyard, that's NIMBY. I don't care what a case. They'll sit through 15 hours of that stuff, and they will, at the end of that whole thing, they will say, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, we really feel your pain, but we're going to do it anyway. And the real reason they can't say is because we've already been paid by these huge developers to zone that property so they can build their new sewage treatment plant in your backyard, and nothing you could have said is ever going to change that, but we can't tell you that. We've got to make you feel good, like you matter. Like when we say public comments are open, and we actually read those stupid things. Are you kidding us? We have golf tee times. Come on, people, get real, wake up. That's what you get. Same thing just happened to me. When the FAA took over the regulation of the drone stuff, the reason it happened was delivery drones from the huge companies like Amazon and UPS lobbied the federal government, says, listen, we can't be delivering tube socks by drone if we got these pesky model airplane and drone hobbyists buzzing around low on the ground. We need the FAA to take over, and we need them to license drone pilots and make all kinds of new rules, and basically we need to get rid of them. And they started throwing money at it, and they created government boards. Well, next thing we drone guys know, we got a what's called NPRM, Notice of Public Rulemaking, public comment period. The drone community went nuts. Every drone YouTuber, me included, was incensed and telling people, you need to call your congressman, everybody needs to put in a written comment. And we've got websites now with sample comments. Well, the drone community generated, and this is nothing like diet, it's tiny compared. We generated 60,000 incensed people bombarding the government with information about how ridiculous this was and the reasons why. And this went on for a year. Anybody want to guess what happened when they finally came up with the final version of the law? Exactly as proposed. Not a single change. That result had already been bought and paid for. They did make one small concession, is they actually let an industry member from the hobbyist community onto the board. But he came back and told us what was really going on. Yeah, you don't stand a chance, guys. We wasted our time. Well, I knew that. I've been dealing with this crap all my life. Now, here we go. We've got the new food guidelines. And after watching Ken Berry's and Nina Tall shows for an hour yesterday, my hopes, well, they weren't dashed because I never had my hopes up anyway. I got news for you, my friends. Those guidelines are already written and on their way to the printer. They probably have been for 6 months. Probably the most optimistic thing that Nina Teicholz and Casey Means and Kaylee Means and RFK Jr. and everybody who knows the truth and wants these things to change, when they come up against the power and the money of the food and drug lobby, and when you look at the people that are actually on the committee that makes the decision, at the conflicts that they have, every single one of them with these food, not conflicts, but they're all on the payroll. This is predetermined, and all of this concern about what the public thinks is just a show. It's a show. It accomplishes nothing. It never has. It makes the news, makes for stories, makes for YouTube videos. It gives somebody else an opportunity to make a little advertising revenue off of the pain of the people who are trying to get something accomplished but never do. The most we could probably hope for out of these, the new guidelines, the biggest change in a utopian world would be the addition of one sentence acknowledging that low-carb diets could be an option. Could be an option. Now, yes, that would be a positive change. I'll tell you another positive change. A few years ago, I don't know the exact details, but I could research it. I had researched it, but there's just so much research, you forget where you saw it. But I did see a point where it was about saturated fat. where was it the National Institute of Health, the CDC, whoever, one of the governing bodies, actually came out and in a report they have a statement, a sentence, and it actually reads, and I think this is almost verbatim: saturated fat is no longer a nutrient of concern. I'm going to Google. I mean, you bear with me, guys, because this is important stuff. It's important stuff because I think the most destructive thing that can happen to our community is that we all get our hopes up. That's a problem, that we're finally going to be able to go in and just right into our doctor's face and say, see, this isn't going to kill me, see? That'll never happen. Never happen, because, let's see, saturated fat, my typing is still a little impaired, is no, I can't type like I used to, is no, but I'm trying to use both hands, longer a nutrient of concern. Searching. The idea that saturated fat is no longer a nutrient of concern is a contentious one, it says, with some scientists argue. Okay, so this doesn't. Okay, however, many public. Here you go. However, many public health organizations, including the FDA, continue to advise limiting saturated fat to less than 10% of daily calories. Okay, so that is not where I saw it. Everything I see here on Google, everything, I'm looking at the articles. RFK's new dietary guidelines could be controversial. U.S. is saturated fat a nutrient of concern? Here it is. That came from the British Journal. Yes, there is a statement somewhere in some government report that says saturated fat is no longer. That I know for sure. That I know for sure. I've seen it on so many different YouTube videos, pointed out with the text of the thing and the sentence and everything. But just to go, that made my point exactly right there. Somehow Google hasn't gotten the word yet, and still will not point me to that particular thing, but rather point me to all of the propaganda that says I shouldn't eat saturated fat, because that is the drug company and the food company line. And they're controlling everything, and they're controlling the message and the narrative. And the people in positions of power who are spouting this message and narrative. So, can we expect the dietary guidelines to give us anything but disappointment when they come out? Nina also was hopeful that they will take out the requirement for 3 servings of processed carbohydrate. Right now, in our dietary guidelines, they are recommending at least 3 servings of junk food a day, of processed sugar. Processed sugar. Our government is telling us that if we don't eat certain amount of processed foods, we're not going to be healthy. Where do you think that little tidbit came from? Big Food, you think? Nabisco? Breakfast cereal makers? Post? Kellogg's? Everybody says, be positive, Mitch. I am positive. I'm positive that things are not going to change, that we need to change them on our own personal level, try to influence people in our sphere. Now, I don't want to be pessimistic, but I'm being realistic, and I think you all agree with me, considering my little question and answer period before. Okay, so all we can expect in our community when these new guidelines come out is outrage. Maybe there's a 0.5% half a 1% chance that they actually do something meaningful. But I think it's not, it's like the odds of getting run over by a bus. You know it could happen, but it probably won't happen to you. And then I went down in my own mind a train of thought that most people would never go down, because I'm a realist. I am a realist. I'm a stone realist. I went down this train of thought. What if, and if you hear this on any other YouTube channel, this train of thought, let me know, please, because I like to think that I am a very unique individual, whether that's good, bad, or otherwise. They aren't many like me, so, and many people that think like I do. But while everybody else out there in our community is hanging their hat on the fact that any carnivore documentary is going to effectively change anything, that any change in the U.S. dietary guidelines is effectively going to just reverse course of everything overnight, and every diabetic is going to be on the road to recovery. They don't live in a real world, because here's what's going to happen in the real world. It took over 100 years for the trend that we're on now to get started with the Ansel Keyses and the John Kellogg's and the Ellen Whites, and then the amount of commerce that grew up about it, then the agendas of companies that became vested in people eating unhealthy foods, and then the medical community that jumped on the bandwagon when people started getting sicker and started making their money. Then the trend of never curing anything but only signing people up for subscriptions. The medical community has gone with a subscription model. Don't just sell anybody something for one time. Get them paying for it for the rest of their life. And that's the model of medicine today. Treatment, lifetime treatments, no cures. It took 100 years for that to happen. It's not going to unwind on the release of one government report that has one sentence in it that says you may consider a low-carb diet. Whereas previously, the propaganda was always saying, well, low-carb diets are linked with all-cause mortality, and they'll kill you, especially all meat diets. That stuff's been around too long. But even worse, and the real problem. Now, I said I had the real answers, and I do. It'll never happen. Nobody would ever implement them. But I do have the answer. I do have the fix for it. At least starting to slow the ship down, because you got to slow it down before you can turn it around. But who am I? Other people out there probably are smarter than me that also know the answer, but they also understand the reality of what it takes to make change in corrupt systems. And that's what we have here. But corruption is the human way. I could do a whole talk on that. The problem, and each one of us could state a personal example of this and tell stories about our own experiences with this, is no matter what the literature might say, no matter what the experts might say, none of that is going to make a carb addict give up sugar. None of that published studies that show how deadly and poisonous alcohol use is has swayed the first alcoholic to stop drinking. It took a hell of a lot more than somebody just saying, you got to stop drinking because it's proof, and here's the proof that this is bad for your health and it'll kill you. No. It took that person losing his family, becoming homeless, in the gutter, life in shambles, before finally it became evident enough to him that, oh man, I never thought of this. Maybe that alcohol shit ain't all that good for me. Somebody who shoots up heroin. Do you think you could walk up to those people waving studies and reports, trying to educate them about just exactly how that is killing them and how fast it is and how they're going to suffer and what the pain and they're going to have to go through in withdrawal to stop? Do you think a single heroin addict is going to look up and say, well, I didn't know that. I had no idea this was bad for me. I will stop immediately. Thank you very much. Never going to happen. Until we start treating carbohydrate addiction as a problem, as severe alcoholism and drug addiction, we don't even stand a chance of convincing anybody. And even, here's the point, the irony of it. Even if we were convinced that carb addiction, if we could convince every human being on the planet it's the sugar, stupid, Ansel Keys was wrong, John Yudkin was right, it's not the fat, it's the sugar that's killing you, they still wouldn't give it up. That's the point. Even knowing and being aware of the dangers, the damage of our standard American diet of processed foods. There was a question earlier I didn't answer. Which is worse, seed oils or sugars? Who cares? They're both bad. And that question can only, well, if I've got to give up one, should I give up sugars? No, you got to give up both of them. But if you're an addict, you don't want to. Because that addiction rules your life. It is your source of pleasure and comfort, the eating of these foods. This didn't happen by itself, my friends. We have been engineered by food scientists that work for food companies who make their foods understand this physiology of addiction and have made those foods and engineered the taste and the mouthfeel and the bliss point and the combination of sugars and fats and salts to a point where no human being can resist it. And once you get used to it and the dopamine rush you get from it, you cannot give it up without some kind of pain. You don't want to give it up. They have hacked your subconscious mind into believing it is starving to death all the time and it needs more of this food. That is the problem. And nothing that we're doing, not the food guidelines, not anything, are going to convince people enough to where they put their foot down and give up the things, sometimes the only things left in their lives that actually give them pleasure. Because pleasure motivates human action more than about anything else other than perhaps pain. And that's why those things are there. To control non-thinking animals to action. And that's unfortunately, okay, so the fact is that even if they change the food guidelines and say you should eat nothing but red meat and blah, 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 and the government has found that eating excessive sugar is killing everybody, and the reason we have epidemics of childhood obesity and mental illness and ADHD and autism and everything is that we got to eat more fat because low fat doesn't give the brain enough to rebuild itself, and yada, yada, yada. And this is broadcast from the mountaintops and on every TV news station, on every YouTube channel, and even without opposition, even the opposition, even the vegans say, well, we're wrong. You got to stop eating these poisonous vegetables and start eating more animal products, and forget the global warming and forget animal cruelty and forget all that shit we said. We changed our minds. We're with you now. And everybody on this planet got the message that these carnivores were right. Hallelujah. Still, nothing would change. Maybe a small percentage of the people would say, wow, I do care. I am going to give it a try. But the average beer drinking, football watching, Doritos eating, alcoholic, party animal is not going to care. I'm sorry. The change will be made. That's evident. When you look at cigarette smoking, we've reduced cigarette smoking, but there's still a shitload of cigarettes being sold in this country, mostly to older people. And you may say, well, that worked. Well, the problem with addictions is you very rarely cure one. Usually you just manage to replace one with a different one. I mean, think about it. Alcoholics Anonymous. People go in there, alcoholics, and come out hooked on cigarettes and coffee. Have we solved any problems? People have replaced, so many people who got their dopamine hits from cigarette smoking are now getting it from sugar. Are we really better off now that they're eating shit and getting fat and diabetes than we were when they were at a risk of lung cancer, maybe? I look back at the 50s when everybody was smoking. We were a hell of a lot healthier now. Did we do ourselves a favor by banning tobacco? You got to think along these lines. Nobody does. You never hear that. It's very politically incorrect to talk like that and come out and say, I think we've been better off if we encouraged people to smoke cigarettes, and we never, the junk food never came to be the replacement addiction for tobacco because we were healthier then. And maybe without all the sugar, and now that we know about the sugar and its relationship to cancer, maybe, just maybe, lung cancer wouldn't have been that big a thing. Jem says, evidently there's a discussion going on here. I'm stimulating, coffee and donuts, says Jojo. Yeah. They haven't cured any alcoholics. They have just given them a substitute addiction. Very rarely do addicted people come away from all that with no addictions. I keep getting back to the fact that we fall for all this stuff and we stop looking at reality. We stop looking at what motivates the human animal to action. Psychology. Where did it come from? Where did behavior come from? It's all there. A lot of people know about it, but we're being sheep. We're herded. We're told what to do. We're manipulated by propaganda. We're sold this, that, and the other thing from the time we get up in the morning until we go to bed at night. And now we have artificial intelligence on top of it. I think most of you in this group here can consider yourselves, I know I consider myself, as actual intelligence, not artificial intelligence, but another form of AI. And to me, I would think, if I had a choice, I think you're more likely to get reality from actual intelligence, because I just saw an example of what Google's artificial intelligence told me about saturated fat. And all it was 100% artificial propaganda. And that's what we're going to get. So just another way for us to be herded like sheep. We got to think for ourselves. The hard part is, in this massive tsunami of bullshit comes our way every day, in messaging that is contrary to what we are finding out, we have to find new and wonderful ways to be firm in our convictions so that we can resist it. One of the ways that I do it is by going back into the history of how we got here, into evolutionary concepts, into the evolutions of behavioral patterns, of diet. It's a big study of science. This study of the evolution of the diet of the human species. That's where you find out what is true and what we should be eating. Well, what were we eating 50,000 years ago? Because things don't happen quick. Things don't happen quick. I started on this. You didn't call it a rant or whatever, but it's stuff it's just been on my mind the past couple of days. And I thought that maybe today's use of time would be better and going a little deeper into reality and psychology, but none of this stuff happens that fast. That's another problem that I see that we're having right now. Not only after a live stream like Kiltsy had this morning, where everybody came away with their smoke coming out of their ears, scratching their head and saying, what the F do I do now? Holy cow, where do I turn first? What do I change first? Just slow down. Slow down. I saw a comment in there from one of you guys who said, I agree with Mitch. I'll wait till my next blood test and see before I make a change. That's a month and a half away. Yes. Nothing in your diet, what you eat, what supplements you take, requires instantaneous action. This is not emergency room trauma treatment. This is stuff that you start doing now, you may see a benefit from in a year or two. Just like Kilt says, I ate a plant yesterday. Should I panic? We're pushed every day to buy this, buy that, make this change, make that change, stop doing this. This is right. You've been wrong. And we're overwhelmed because every argument we see, we get pushed the other way too. We're watching too much YouTube. This is not something a YouTuber should be telling you. Peter says, always be kind, wants to know what brand of coffee you drink. Well, that's a little trivial for today, Peter, because I'm deep and philosophical today, but important nonetheless. And why is it important? Because the brand of coffee I drink can be found on my links to stuff I use page on my website, along with everything else. And Peter plugged the hell out of my website this morning. Thank you, Peter. Don't think I don't notice this stuff. He's everywhere. He's everywhere. I notice. I notice. Peter's a good supporter of this channel. I appreciate the help he does. But I drink the cheapest shit I can buy that fits the specs of what I want. I want to have an Arabica coffee, medium roast, Colombian, and Amazon has a house blend. And it's fairly cheap. And it's not bad. I'm not a coffee connoisseur, but it's not bad. It's not bad. So this is a Amazon house blend, medium roast. And I got those specs after a little research into, if you're going to drink coffee, what's the healthiest? Because I do take my leucine supplement mixed with coffee in the morning. And always made with a paper filter. That's important, a paper filter, because coffees contain natural carcinogens, and the paper filters filter them out. But some of these methods, like French press or percolator, they don't. So drip coffee makers are the healthiest way to drink coffee. So there you go. Rick said, Rick. Oh, man. I watch Dr. Kilton was not stressed out. I don't care. Rick, I don't think you've ever been stressed out in your entire life. You are the most type B, laid-back person that I've ever seen. So why am I not surprised to hear you say that? Everybody knows. Yeah, that's a very handy button. A very handy button. Especially if you watch a lot of YouTube. I just don't care. Yeah, well, you have to care. How are we going to make any money if you don't care? Exactly. Exactly. Thank you. Barry Simon, good friend Barry, brought that button to my attention, and I bought one on Amazon, and I don't use it all that much, but there are certain times when basically I don't care. And it's going to be interesting. So let me summarize the brilliant prophecies that you heard here today that you probably already knew anyway, but I would like to be able to take credit for. Number one, the food guidelines aren't going to change worth a shit. Don't put your hand on your ass while you're waiting for that to happen, or your hand will grow there. Number two, there may be a small concession buried in a sentence somewhere that basically acknowledges that, and I'm getting interesting how they word this, so as not to be too enthusiastic or too accepting of the concept of a low-carb diet is not going to kill you. They're going to maybe say that. If we get wildly lucky and it doesn't cause the food companies to put a hit out on the children of the community members who vote the wrong way, because they're in fear for their lives, these people. Believe me, everybody on these committees has so many skeletons in their closets and is under threat of being exposed if they don't toe the company line. That's one of the reasons it never happens. That's also the key to maybe fixing it, and I'll get into that. But you heard it here first. You heard that if we get wildly lucky, we may get them to remove the actual stupid recommendation to actually eat 3 servings of refined carbohydrates a day. Because I don't know if they stuck that in there because the food companies just wanted to give us a double-barreled middle finger in our face, kind of like they do on the TV commercial. It says, Lay's potato chips. Bet you can't eat just one. You addicted. Yeah, they want to rub it in our face with shit like that. Well, maybe they might allow that to be taken out. But I got news for you. These decisions are not made by the board. They're made by what the puppeteers that control the board decide they'll allow or not, and how much damage they'll do. So, you heard that here first. You heard that even if they changed the whole thing, even if they wrote the National Dietary Guidelines of our dreams, and even if they required the school districts and the military and the hospitals and everybody else to serve only 100% whole, real food with a lot of fat in it and the appropriate amount of protein, and even if they did all that, we're still so addicted, we bring our own food to school. The mothers of this country would say, my kid will be unruly if he doesn't get his sugar. If they won't give it to him in school, I'll send it to him unless nothing will change. Maybe a little bit. It'll take the next 100 years for this to go through the normal course of unwinding. That's the truth. That's what you heard here. And if we want to fix it, at least get the guidelines right to start initiating the mass withdrawal from sugar that will have to happen, and the treatment of that as a real disease, over the kicking and screaming of the people themselves, protesting, taking their sugar away. What do you mean I can't get Reese's peanut butter cups anymore? What are you kidding? Who are you, federal government, to tell me what to do? Have you heard about freedom? Freedom of eating. It's in the Constitution, isn't it? I've never read the Constitution, but that's what I heard. The dumbing down of America because of low-fat diets. That's the root cause. People don't have what they need to actually build a brain anymore. Logical answer for a lot. But even if he did all that, the people would fight it. The addicts would fight it. And as long as there's a market for it, you can't outlaw it. So you have to go buy your Oreos from the corner boy. From the Oreo dealer on the corner. Black market. So you can't stop people from doing what they want to do, and what they want to do more than anything is feed their addictions, and they've got us right where they want us, and that's the truth. So we can hope for great things, but even if we get those great things from reports, it's still not going to help you convince the people who live in your house that you've been trying to convince all this time, even showing them with your own results, that they need to give up their addictions. They won't do it and will fight you tooth and nail. And that's just the reality of it. So where does that leave us? It leaves us with exactly what we have, and knowing we're going to continue to have it, and having to make the adjustments and even the living arrangements if necessary, so that we can do what we think, in our opinion, is best for us, without somebody trying to sabotage it every time we turn around. And please, if you've taken nothing else away from this hour-long rant of mine today, don't get your hopes up. Don't get excited. Don't make YouTube videos like Ken Berry just did. That's going to create so much excitement. We're fighting quite a monster here. And it's going to take more than yet another carnivore documentary parading people, one another, in front of the camera, telling their stories to motivate addicts, to somehow convince their subconsciouses that they would be okay living without the only pleasure they have left in their life. And that's the reality of it. The real fix, here's the real fix. Get enough tough people. This is a start. It's not going to fix it. Nothing can fix it. Addiction, the level of addiction guarantees it can't be fixed. It has to be fixed slowly over time as the addicts are replaced by non-addicts. That would require outlawing the TV commercials showing people eating Oreos. It would require so many things, like they tried to do with alcohol and tobacco. And even with no advertising, people, the addicts are going to find a way to get it. You can't legislate it away, but that can help in the long, multiple generational change, the time it'll take to get it back to where people are living next door to a farm and buying their meat that's been pasture raised by their neighbor, and eating eggs from the chickens in the backyard. We probably never get back to that. But we get our hopes up. The only way to really make a dent in it, let's say, not fix it, can't be fixed. I'm sorry. Can't be fixed. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong, Washington, D.C. Come on in and say, well, we proved old Mitch wrong. See, we fixed it. Great. Oh, God, that'd be the greatest thing I ever heard. Yeah, my encouragement to prove me wrong. But I don't think you will. But the way to start fixing it would be, and something you could do quick, these new guidelines are coming out. These guidelines are, part of the root cause of the problem. They've been out so long, and people, they just blindly follow them. And they're mandated to follow them in so many cases. Every one of them, I guarantee you, we know how corrupt the individuals are that work for the USDA and the FDA. They haven't been cleaned out yet. They're still all there. Same guys. Same guys taking money from the food companies. Same guys taking money from the drug companies. Same guys who got a lot of skeletons in their closet and can't risk doing something to anger the people that are holding on to the evidence against them. But if you put me in a position where I actually could get away with it without somebody on the opposition getting some federal judge to put a stay on my actions, number one, I would launch an immediate investigation for corruption and fraud against every member that's been on every committee for the last 20 years that's drawn up and approved the food pyramid. I'd accuse them of mass murder. I would accuse them of taking bribes, of corruption. I would launch an investigation into all of them. Not that I would ever put any of them in jail, because that would never happen either. Because there's too much money backing them up. But if nothing else, and if I was like RFK Jr., I could use that investigation as an excuse to fire their asses and replace the whole entire board with people that actually know what the hell is going on in nutritional science. And we may have Kiltz, Nelson, Ken Berry, Anthony Chafee, and even some people from the vegan and vegetarian side on the board. But at least we would have some people that aren't bought and owned by the food and drug companies. And that would be the only thing we could do. Is that likely to happen? Well, if your hand hasn't grown to your ass yet, put your other hand on your ass and wait for that to happen. Then you'll have both your hands stuck to your ass. It'll never happen. But that's the truth. That's the truth. And the downside to our community, I think, is the biggest downside is dashed hopes and dreams. We are trying so hard to let everybody know that we have the answer to better health. And I believe that's true, or I wouldn't be here. But we allow ourselves to get so optimistic. And that's not real. That's not real. And it's not realistic. And crashing disappointment, no matter what the reason, is never healthy or enlightening. So, as a collective community, and I'll close today without basically saying hi or answering a lot of questions, but as a collective community, I hate to say, but I think that in the areas of expecting miracles, we need to collectively curb our enthusiasm a little bit. And I don't think the answer lies in more documentaries that they will not allow anybody to see. They will not allow movie theaters to play them. They will not allow them to get any widespread distribution. And they will be criticized out of existence by the people who promote the vegan and vegetarian documentaries, like Forks Over Knives, because that's where they put their money behind them. Nobody's putting money, the kind of money I'm talking about, behind getting the word out about carnivore. And with all the social media, and with all this sharing, and with all this and that, and everybody's saying, share this video with that, share. Everybody's sharing. You still can't get your husband or wife to do it. And you got to look at the reality of it and say, holy cow, if I can't convince this person, how are you going to convince anybody who's an addict and is not going to give up their beer and Doritos and football? Or their wine. That's for you, ladies. You can't even be a woman in this world anymore unless from the hours of 5 o'clock on, you are never without a wine glass glued to your hand. That's crazy. It's crazy. Oh, that's quite a rant. Quite a rant. Mitch Slowey says, been on Carnivore for 30 days. Blood pressure not coming down. Getting worried. Average 150 over 60. Okay, Mitch, 30 days. I'd be surprised if it did come down. How's that? How's that? If you told me, I've been on Carnivore for 30 days and it brought my blood pressure down, I would say, you're delusional. See, that's the problem with the thinking on Carnivore. You're thinking about systems that take years to change, slowly, and expecting, like the average American, instant results. Let me tell you about an instant result that you get on Carnivore. The first and most instant result is when the bacteria in your gut revolt because you're starving to death and you start having diarrhea from morning to night. That'll be instant. Things like your blood pressure regulation are going could take 6 months, a year, 2 years. Don't start Carnivore unless you have made a commitment to yourself to give it at least 90 days, and don't expect to see everything better within 90 days. It doesn't happen. So that's indicative of the thinking of average people. We've become conditioned. That's the magic pill. The drug companies have us. Why should you have to take 2 years to lose that weight when we jab you in the ass with this stuff and boom? Well, it may kill you as a side effect, but, you know, it's worth it. It's worth the risk. Instant fix. Shiny thing over here. Here, look at the shiny thing. Don't look over there at the real, at the shiny thing. We're so brainwashed. So brainwashed. Conservative. Okay, Peter's still throwing questions at me. It's almost 8:30. I'm sorry, but I'm just not going to get to them today. Come back tomorrow. I'll be here again. After all, Kilton Nelson answered every question on the planet this morning. What else is there to ask? I never saw so many questions in a live stream. Peter's talking to Mitch about blood pressure medications, and Anthony. Okay, everybody. One thing I didn't do, I don't know if it's too late to do it. Can I still go back and see who was the first in at 7 o'clock, because I don't want to cheat anybody out of their hard work. And of course, I should have known. Lambs is the first one in here at 7 a.m. And Barry Simon followed him up right away. Barry, I'm so proud of you. And then Robbie Autry. Wow. How about that? At any rate, for everybody that I didn't say hello to this morning, hi guys, how are you? If you still have some left, continue to drink it. Question, why did I spill coffee on my shirt? Bart Simpson wants to know. Or is there got to be deep philosophical meaning into that question? That's funny. And Main Runner says, congrats to Lambs. And these guys are right on the button. At any rate, I'm going to play some happy music. I think it was hopefully, I had a lot of people here today. A big attendance, averaged about 150 or more people. Much bigger. They knew I kind of went off the deep end yesterday. They're probably here expecting another NASCAR-style crash. Sorry to disappoint you, my friends. That was very real yesterday and had very real roots and reasons for that. Thank you for behaving yourself. I said everything about yesterday that I needed to say in that little 5-minute video that I released yesterday, and I said I'm not going to let it change a thing. I've always been that way. It's not going to change. Nothing I can do to change the pain from my childhood. I just had to, like I do, bob and weave and avoid the triggers. And I've been doing it pretty good. And I'm not saying that I will not be triggered again by that. And it all depends on a lot of things. Sometimes I can just laugh it off. We don't know. At any rate, didn't want to talk about that, and I'm not going to talk about it anymore, but I had a good attendance today, so I'll take it. Maybe I need to do that more often. I don't know where the time went. Everybody saying goodbye to everybody. Terry Sue said she's going to watch Aaron's videos, Booby Goats. I don't see why not. Thanks for coming, everybody. Thanks for participating. Thanks for listening. Thanks for playing in my little quizzes when I asked you if you all had any confidence that the world will change tomorrow, because the government is now gotten their common sense back. But we're all realists here. And if I've done nothing else in scaring people away over the past few years, I don't think I've scared away the realists. And if that's all I got left, I'll take it, because that's who I want to be talking to. Otherwise, all I'm going to be doing is arguing. Jem says, Mitch and Misfits, have a great day. And Peter's still giving advice. Always be kind. He says, just be patient. Yeah, decades of damage we've done, we expect to fix in 30 days. No. I'll say this and then I'll say goodbye. If you can fix nothing else in the first 30 days, if you can fix nothing else, follow my first 30-day plan. That includes throwing away the scale, forgetting about your weight, forgetting about weight loss, forgetting about curing or solving anything, concentrating only on eating so much you can't eat anymore, because that will cure or put your remissions into a controllable state, your addictions into a controllable state within 30 days. And that's what you can accomplish in 30 days. You can gain control over your addiction. All the other stuff, the weight, blood pressure, whatever you think you're trying to fix with carnivore, pales in importance when it comes to gaining the control over your addiction. And that you can accomplish in a few weeks or 30 days by forgetting about weight loss, forgetting about your appearance, forgetting about anything, and concentrating only on making sure you are never hungry. It's kind of like sounds like the dieter's dream, isn't it? See how much you can eat, but eat the right foods, and always have them ready when you get any thoughts of an addiction or sugar. Dive into the bacon and the burgers, have them cooked and ready. I keep telling people this. Doesn't seem to gain traction in the community advice. But it was the first thing that I ever discovered for myself after, at the time, 75 years of failure that worked. So that's what I say. So if you want to become a carnivore, you're going to have to donate the first 30 days, where the prime purpose is get your cravings under control. And that does it. And it does work. And then worry about how much you weigh. Okay, my friends. With that last bit of sage advice, I am going to tell you to take the rest of the day off. I will see you tomorrow morning, same time, same station. And eat meat.